Well, hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Front Porch Devotions. And we are here for the second time here at your house. We're on our back porch. It's pretty cool it's a covered porch, so it's screened in, so there'll be no pesky bugs. But we thank you all for being patient. Last week, we did not have an episode of Front Porch Devotion because I was doing something very, very, very important. I'm sure you remember your wedding day.
Yeah.
And a lot of you saw that picture of me when with me and Samantha, and she had her bouquet and the veil on, and people they commented, well, why weren't you smiling? Well, I was trying not to bawl because it was very emotional. I was getting ready to walk her down the aisle, but it was a very good wedding. It's very beautiful. They're actually on their honeymoon in Maine, and I've been getting pictures of lighthouses all day. But we have been. Oh, also, real quick, tomorrow night at Dave and Brittany's farm, you can see the post online. We're having a fishing, fun, and food, just a little event. We're going to have a campfire and be over about 10, but we're meeting at the bowling alley at 4. If anybody wants to follow down, we'd love to have you all come with us. But we're here with Jodi, and we have talked about this for a long time.
Yep, you sure have.
I remember when I first heard your story, I was just amazed because many folks know and many folks don't know what you went through and the ordeal you went through. But I just want to just ask a few questions. Where were you raised? Were you raised in Lebanon, Homeacre?
Yes. I lived in Lebanon. Well, we moved to Lebanon when I was about 5, so for most of my life, yeah. Right there at Huffman Hill.
Oh, okay.
You go past the Elk Garden School, where Brittany lives.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, yeah, she's my mom's neighbor, so.
Oh, well, that's
she's
pretty
right
awesome.
beside my, I guess, where I grew up at.
So that's what we're going into. Tell us about your mom and dad.
Well, they're great.
I have met both of them, and they're both just fantastic. You fall in love with them as soon as you meet them, and I think your mom is the kind of person that says what she means.
Yeah.
Just such a delightful lady. I remember it's when this COVID stuff first came out, and I was taking some Easter baskets or something down to where you work, yeah. And she came out and she just came and gave me a hug, and it was just great. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, we don't meet a stranger in the family.
So tell us about your mom and dad.
Well, what do you want to know? They've been together 45 years.
Oh my goodness, that is a long time. How many brothers and sisters you have?
I have 2 sisters. I have one older sister and one younger sister.
So all girls?
Yes.
Huh. What a coincidence.
Karma got me.
No kidding. We'll definitely talk about those little ones soon. But so you went to school at Lebanon. You went to high school at Lebanon?
No, actually, we were. I went to school at a Christian school in Raven. I think it's changed hands now. So
that's right. That's right.
No, I think it's
was
called
Highlight?
Champions.
Was it
Yes,
Highlight?
it was Highlight when I went there, and I graduated from there. I guess I started there maybe 2nd grade. I went to a Christian school again prior to that, but it closed down. It was on top of Claypool Hill there.
Yeah.
Behind Kmart. It was a great school too. And then I went to Highlight and finished up there. Small school. I think there was possibly 12 in my graduating class.
Yeah, wow.
So.
I think it's I went to one class that graduated and they had 4 in it. Still, so you had the Christian roots instilled in you at a younger age.
Yes, my parents drove me to church.
Amen.
Every Sunday.
Amen. And we're going to get into that
kicking
too.
And screaming.
That's real important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It lays a good foundation for sure.
I remember when I first saw you all. I was Sunday morning, and folks were coming in. I was greeting them as normal, and then you guys came in, and I just fell in love instantly with Kyle and Lila. And we have a lot of visitors. It's just like other churches. They will come for a few weeks, and then they'll miss 1, they'll miss 2, and then they won't come back anymore. But you guys, when you came, you just kind of dug your claws in. I mean, you have planted roots right there, and we're so blessed to have you all. Because I mean, just personally, I think you're more of like family.
Oh, we love
Yeah,
it. We love it
than
there,
congregation
and that's what we were
members.
looking for. We wanted a family church, and we love it there.
Yeah, well, you're definitely part of us. Okay, so you graduated high school, and then it was time to go to college.
Yes, I went to Southwest for 2 years,
Which is the best thing to do, especially in this area, because it's free,
Absolutely.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think mine was through grants. I got to go free, and then I transferred to Radford.
Any reason?
I was going to be a teacher.
Okay, so a lot of folks go and graduated Radford for their education
Yes,
degree.
yep, and that's actually where I met Brittany.
Oh, so you met her at...
Yes,
'cause I
I'd
was
never
gonna
met
say.
her before, and we ended up being roommates. So I
Okay.
knew the other roommate, but I didn't know Brittany at all.
So you guys were already scheduled to be roommates before you met. I mean, you met as a roommate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you envision that relationship being what it is today? Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing how the Lord works. Sometimes we get in the way of our God, and that causes us to stumble. We need to get out of the way. Somebody likes the Highlanders. I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're at Radford, and now we're going to get into a very trying time in your life.
Hopefully I can make it through it.
Yeah, and and I've said this in the pulpit many times. God give us emotion for a reason, and we just thank you so much for going through this with us, and I know it probably stirring up some emotion. But just tell us about that day, the day of the accident.
Okay.
Were you at college or were you
Yes.
here? Okay, so
I was 21. I was in my almost my last semester. It was April 25th, 2008. I think it's 2008. Yeah, it's been a while ago. I was 21. I was coming home from college to go to a wedding.
So you were leaving Radford.
Yes.
Are you on your way
Yes.
on your way home? Okay.
I had already packed up my clothes, and I had to teach that morning at Fallen Branch Elementary in Christiansburg. So that morning I went on a million things on my mind, trying to make it home. I only had to teach, I think it was like the end of a 6-week period, so we were getting out at like 1 o'clock.
So this was fairly early when you were
Yeah.
driving.
Yeah, it was about mid-afternoon. I'd say time I was going through Whiffle there, it was probably about 2 o'clock, 2:30, something like that.
So you had just got out of your student teaching.
Yep, in Christiansburg,
Okay,
and
okay,
headed
okay.
towards Rosedale, where I was living at.
And you were in was it a Jeep?
A Jeep Liberty.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I came into where it turns into 3 lanes there, right in Whiffle, and I had a tractor and trailer on I guess would be the right side of me, and then I had a truck, an older blue truck on the left side of me, so I was in the middle lane. And I didn't know it at the time, but there was another tractor that had broken down on the side of the road, and it was being towed by another tractor. And then I had the tractor that was to the right of me. But I didn't see it because I'm just traveling down, probably going 65, 70 mile an hour through there, and in the middle lane, and I could not see the tractor that had been broken down because I had the big tractor to the right of me kind of blocking my vision as far as what was on the shoulder of the road. So we get to, they were trying to get to an exit there, so they were traveling down the shoulder because they were going to bring, I guess, the broken down trailer off the exit there where it, Flying J.
Yeah.
So,
Is that where the McDonald's is there?
I don't know if there's a McDonald's there
Or maybe
or
it's
not.
the next one down. Yeah.
I can't remember. Then I guess the tractor, not having any room because of the tractor towing the tractor on the side of the road, had to come into my lane a little bit, and I wasn't prepared for that, so I had nowhere to go because I had the blue truck on the other side of me, so the only option to me was to just start throwing on my brakes. and trying to give him room to come over
Right,
because
right.
I didn't want him to hit
That's
me.
a natural reaction.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think there's anybody that's watching that wouldn't attempt to hit your brakes in a situation like that.
Yeah, I was just trying to let me slow down and him come on over.
Because at this point, it's just a jerk reaction of don't make a collision.
Yeah, I was trying to prevent, but it didn't happen. So once he started coming into my lane, there was just nowhere to go. With a combination of me, slamming on my brakes and nowhere to go, my vehicle went into like a barrel roll. And I was 21. I didn't believe in wearing a seatbelt. I was the person who pulled out of the driveway, said, "Bye, Mom and Dad." Flip off the seatbelt, and there I went.
Right. Yeah.
I don't do that now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
So I didn't have on a seatbelt, and I remember thinking, I don't have on a seatbelt, and my vehicle
When
is
you started
flipping.
rolling in your mind,
Yeah.
you thought, "Oh no."
Yeah, you remember these thoughts very vividly. I remember thinking, I don't have a seatbelt on, so I'm going to have to hold on. So in my mind, I held on to the steering wheel with just everything I could, and I can remember just, as it started to roll, I can remember just you can't. The force was too great. And then at one point, I can remember being on even the passenger side of the vehicle at that point. And then I don't
And
remember.
it's still rolling.
Yeah, I don't remember anything else in the vehicle. The next thing I remember is opening my eyes, and I felt like my face it was really hot, and then all of a sudden I felt really like cold, like you just stepped outside. So I opened my eyes, and I can remember seeing the undercarriage of the vehicle, so I was above it, and I could look out in the air. I was looking at the undercarriage of my vehicle, and I knew then this was bad because I was outside of the vehicle. I was on the interstate. A lot of things run through your mind at that point.
Oh, my goodness.
So then, as I remember, as I was falling back down, I could see just pavement, interstate.
So your first visual, you was actually in the air.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I could see, just like I said, I was over top of I must have shot out of my Jeep and could see the Jeep below me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the under part of it.
And everything, no
wheels.
doubt, was probably still moving.
Yeah, and then I remember it was just so fast. Then I remember, the ground coming towards me, and I remember, just bracing and then I don't remember anything else.
So no doubt you probably hit your head.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely probably hit my head, but as I fell, I remember sticking out my arms, and then, like I said, it goes black, and then as I come through to a woman over top of me.
So you don't know, do you know about how long you were out?
Mm-mm. No.
You don't know if it's 30 seconds or 10 minutes? Or...
I've talked to her some more, and she said it wasn't very long.
Okay.
It wasn't too long, but I'm probably minutes if I had to guess. But I remember waking up, and she was over top of me, just laying over top of me praying. Her name was Martha.
Phew, that is emotional. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, so, but at that point, the first thing when I woke up, I realized I was alive.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I was like, I'm alive.
Wow, that's a good thing.
I was completely, obviously shocked by this.
Is she, I'm trying to put myself in Martha's shoes. She was a bystander, probably driving down the road.
Yeah, she saw it happen.
And she saw you probably look lifeless.
Yeah.
And probably just...
She didn't want me to get hit by the cars. So...
Wow, and she was...
A nurse, too.
And
to beat that, she was a nurse. So...
And the first thing she did was pray.
Yes.
That is a lesson for all of us. When everything starts to fall apart, a lot of times that is our last resort. Oh, is that all we can do now? Is pray. That ought to be the first thing. And what an extraordinary way of finding you. Okay, so she's a nurse at Radford. I got tears in my eyes y'all, this is an emotional time, and I thank Jodi so much for sharing this. So she come over to you, and she was praying for you.
Yes, she was praying, and I guess I could see in the distance maybe it was a man, and I think he was kind of like directing traffic because I had ended up on the shoulder right there, kind of in the road, but still on the shoulder of the road. So she continued to pray over me, and at that point, I remember pain. It finally starts registering pain, and it was the worst pain that I ever could remember. I mean, yeah, I thought I woke up and I was alive, but I thought I was going to die.
So it took just a second or two for it to the pain
Yeah, it
to
registered.
register. But I guess because the adrenaline,
Yes.
most likely.
I started just screaming at that point, and I screamed and screamed, and I remember I looked down in my hands where I had broken bones in both of my hands, and you could barely recognize my fingers. They had swollen up already, and then my arm, I had road rash everywhere, and what I could make out was bone. I had bone sticking out of my arm, and honestly I couldn't feel my feet either because they asked me to move my toes and stuff, and I couldn't at the accident. But
so as you can remember, that brief time that you were unconscious, was that pretty much the only time you remember being out?
Until they got there with I guess what could be only pain medicine. As soon as the
morphine,
yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, as soon as they got there, they started giving me needles of, I guess, pain medicine or something. So at that part, stuff starts getting fuzzy. I remember them. This is kind of weird, but I remember them cutting my clothes off, and then they put like a sheet over top of me, and I thought, well, I guess I must be dying. They know something I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I guess because of my injuries and the road rash and everything, they had to just cut them off, and they put just a white sheet over me. And you see these things, on the road, and you're thinking, and then, so I was in my head, I was like, well, I'm going to die. That's they just don't want people to see this, and I'm feeling it. So by then I could hear.
So I'm trying to put my mind around that. It's bad. You feel the pain.
Yeah. They
bring this sheet out. You think that this is it.
Yeah.
What kind of feeling is that?
Yeah. I didn't. The pain is so bad. I did not think I was going to survive. I mean, it was just. I hurt from head to toe, and it was just. So they started giving me the morphine, and I didn't feel anything, but I remember thinking in my head at that point, I was like, I'm going to die because they know something I don't know. And I could only see what was right here because I couldn't move.
Couldn't move your neck or back?
Yeah, at that point. So I couldn't look down, so I had no idea. I remember med flight getting there. I can remember the helicopter, and I remember them putting me on the helicopter with the sheet over me. And then I remember vaguely, once I got there, they put me through I went to Roanoke Memorial. And
so when you were being transported, was you alert?
Vaguely. I can remember them, putting IVs and different things over top of me, and I can remember them talking. And I can remember them saying things like, we don't know what kind of internal injuries she has, and saying that I had to have them, and that there was blood, coming out, just different things. So I could make out those things that they were saying. And then I remember, like I said, getting to the hospital, and they put me through it's like a big circle thing, and they put my whole body through it. Yeah. And what is a miracle is that even the doctor said you don't understand.
You're doing great. I can't imagine.
He didn't understand why I had broken my jaw and my nose, and I don't know, did something to my teeth too. And I had broken my collarbone. I had lost a part of my elbow. Was gone. Like I said, I broke several bones in my wrist and big bone in my leg.
Oh, my
Broke,
goodness.
busted my kneecap. Broke my pelvis in 3 different places. And I broke about every bone on the top of my foot. So I broke a lot of bones.
No kidding.
The doctor said it was kind of like if you ever saw an egg. That's what my body had looked like if you crush an egg or something, like the shell and how all these fractures will go everywhere.
So after you did the scan and you did the doctors discuss with you immediately, or was this
No.
your injuries?
No, they really didn't go into it. It was, like I said, I went immediately when I got there. They started saying I was going to have, obviously, or the bone was sticking out of my arm, I was going to have to go straight into surgery. And I remember my parents getting there.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Walking in, and
did you recognize them?
yes,
Well,
it was like I don't know, it was like the best feeling, to see my parents come in. But they were crushed, so that, obviously bothered me. Not long after that, I went probably, at that point I was going straight into surgery, and I was in surgery, I think, that night for like 14 hours. It was something crazy. The doctor worked on my elbow, and he created what looks like a door hinge for my elbow. And had to just take skin from where it's stretchy and kind of, I had stitches from about, you can see it, from about here to, and it's still there.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way up into here. So, and he was a magnificent doctor. And then the next day I had 2 more surgeries. I have got some plates put here and some screws, and then a screw here, and then they fixed my nose too, because it must have been in bad shape. Stitched up my lip. I had split it open. They decided to wait on surgery as far as my feet or pelvis or shoulder, because they said once they start operating on that, sometimes people are never the same.
So you had 3 surgeries within 24 hours.
Yes.
And the worst part, well, I don't know if it was the worst part, but your pelvis in 3 different places.
Yes.
And your femur was broken.
Yes.
And your feet.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't imagine the pain. I'm sure that they've tried to manage that pain, but I don't want to go so far. I can just imagine how much.
And then, like I said, the doctors, after they sent me down and afterwards, and they explained to my parents too, they were just like, I don't know how she doesn't have one eternal injury.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
He said, we don't see things like this. And he was, he talked about also, I did not have a concussion even.
Right. No head injuries.
No head injuries. Nothing to do with my actual head other than my face that had been, I broke through here, and my nose was broken, and my teeth, and like I split my lip. But it was like more like face. And I had, road rash, obviously, a lot of places, but he was very shocked. He said, I don't see people come out of this without a head injury, or at least one eternal injury.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You get ejected from a moving vehicle, 65, 70 on the interstate,
Yeah.
and no head injuries.
No, I'm assuming I hit my head at some point, but he said that when they did the scan, I didn't have no concussions, no eternal injuries inside. They all thought they looked for days trying to, if there was something they missed. But I was there for, I think I was in the hospital 5 or 6 days, maybe 7, I can't remember. But the hardest part comes on, the healing. That was the hardest road. The injuries were tough, but it was the healing that was probably the toughest, because I was an active 21-year-old going nonstop to, I was being transported by an ambulance everywhere I went, because I couldn't even set up on my own. I was in a cast on every appendage other than my right leg. It's the only thing that didn't have a cast on it. So I had to be, if I got up at all, I had to be transferred by a bed sheet. So my dad would just basically put me in a bed sheet, and it was awful pain. It was the worst, and sit me in a wheelchair. And they told me I had to do that. I hated doing that.
Oh, I just can't imagine.
I hated it because it was so painful.
But being a dad myself, I can see that I'd be there for my daughter, and I know your dad was the same.
My parents, it was, eye-opening. Yeah, because I was back home, living in their bedroom for about 8 weeks. I couldn't go downstairs. I obviously couldn't go down no steps or anything. I was in a wheelchair. But life changed so quickly.
No kidding.
I was going nonstop.
So this was 12 years ago. A little over 12 years ago. When I first saw your post, I'm thinking, there's no way this is Jodi Wicks.
Yeah.
Because you cannot tell
No.
one bit that you went through any of this.
God's good.
Amen. He sure is.
It was a crazy journey, but I mean, I did eventually you do heal. I had to learn to walk. I mean, everything over again.
So you had to go through rehab.
Yeah. And my pelvis was a big concern, but it healed pretty quickly. Like I said, they started a lot of rehab at home, and then eventually I got to go to a rehab center there in Lebanon and learn just common things again.
So from that day in April until you were back to normal completely, how much time are we talking about?
Well, I'll tell you, I was on my boot. The first time I walked on my boot was July 4th weekend. So
wow.
That was the first time I actually, I guess, walked with no assistance, and it was just like on a...
You had a boot on your left leg.
Wow, yeah, around July 4th.
That is amazing to me.
It was, I mean, I had a surgery, I had to about, I guess when I was 32, it was, yes, so a couple years ago I had to go back. One of the pins were coming like out of my wrist, so we had to go back in and fix some things. It takes twice as long, the older you get.
A lot of people may just totally agree with that. So, your no doubt, very, very tough. Who did you get that toughness from? Your mom or your dad?
That's a toss-up.
Well, that's good. They're both tough.
They're both pretty tough. My mom she's pretty tough. Yeah, she's pretty tough
awesome. Too. So we're going to fast forward to a few years ago till you met Shane Wicks. Tell us about that first meeting. When you first saw Shane Wicks, tell us about that first. You thought he was a jerk, didn't you? You thought he was the biggest. No, just tell that.
And he will say I ignored him. So, and that's probably true to some point. So, but yeah, I guess I'm trying to think what was the official meeting spot. I mean, I hadn't seen him a couple of times, but we never really talked, I guess.
But when something clicked, when was that?
I guess it was probably around January. In maybe I think it's 2015.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It just, I mean, I had been through a failed marriage myself.
Yeah.
So we both been
right.
down hard roads. So we definitely had that to, I guess, bond over. And then we, I realized that, I guess you realize your own mistakes and things that you carry with you. And
then you saw this striking knight in shining armor. And do you care if we bring them out?
No, go ahead.
Hey, Shane.
No, you won't get much said with the girls.
Hey, Shane, you here? Y'all coming? May need to. We'll scoot over.
Wilson. Crazy thing about the accident is they told me at one point they didn't know if I could have kids.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to see them now.
That is.
They didn't know, but they said after my healing, I should be able to, but
that is
it was questionable originally.
A miracle. If they said you may not be able to have kids.
Originally, and then they did some more scans after I healed, and they said that I should be able to. And
so you got married, and then you're pregnant. You find out that you're not going to just have one baby. You're going to have two.
No.
What did you think?
I didn't know what I was looking at.
Two baby brothers.
Oh, don't
Well,
say that?
Yeah.
45.99 baby sisters.
That's a lot.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So what was your thought, Shane, when you found out that you guys were going to have twins?
For one, I was hoping at least one of them would be a boy. But I'm over 3, and I wouldn't change that yet.
Well,
But we had actually joked about it before we ever found out.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, he thought it was, in fact, it was the day of. And he
We-
said, wouldn't it be funny if we had twins? And I was like,
Don't smash.
so
I said,
you
don't talk about that nightmare.
Well, I looked at the screen, and
He
as
looked
soon
like
as-
he had seen a ghost. So I
as
knew
soon as I
something
seen
was
it,
up.
I knew there was more than one.
well, they are definitely a blessing. They love seeing themselves on the camera there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have 48.9 baby brothers.
That's a lot.
Mine's more than my
But I was just telling everybody about what a blessing it is to have you all there, and it is so important to have your kids involved in the church and to know who Jesus is. Proverbs 22:6 says that raise up a child in the way they should go and they will not leave it. And just a few minutes ago, we just ate supper. We had some potato soup and we sat down and nobody asked Kyla before she did anything. What'd you do?
What do you do before you eat?
Play.
You prayed. Isn't that something? It's so important. And Shane, occasionally you pray with them, don't
We
you?
try to pray every night. And who do you girls like to pray for?
God and Jesus. God and Jesus. That's what I pray for.
That is fantastic. Hey, thank you all so much for joining us. It has been a pleasure here to be with the Wicks family. But we're going to ask your dad, Shane, to close us in prayer.
Lord, thank you for this opportunity just for Jodi to share her message. We hope that through her message it may touch somebody else and that they may see that there's always a plan that you have for us, God, no matter if we see it or not. We pray that your will be done over each and every one of our lives, that we would seek you in all that we do and seek to glorify you. We ask you to forgive us where we fail you and go with us and lead and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much for joining us. Join us next week on another episode of Front Porch Devotions.